It started with a lie so small, it could have disappeared into the noise of a crowded cafe. But lies, like sparks, have a way of turning into wildfires when paired with just the right heart. I should have known better. No, I did know better, but when she walked into my life, I didn't care about the danger of pretending. I only cared about her smile. Jenna wasn't supposed to matter. She was supposed to be a convenient distraction, a beautiful mask I could wear to torment the one person who had broken me in the most public, humiliating way possible. My ex-girlfriend Tara had left me for someone else after 3 years together, and I thought the only thing worse than losing her was letting her think she had one. So I plotted. I planned. And then I met Jenna. She had this warmth about her, the kind you don't expect in New York, where everyone moves like the world is ending tomorrow. We met at a bookshop downtown, both reaching for the same copy of Sylvia Plath's collected poems. Our hands brushed and she laughed, a soft, unguarded laugh that slipped under my defenses before I could raise them. I didn't know her. She didn't know me. But in that second I realized she was perfect for my plan. "Do you always steal poetry from strangers?" she teased, eyes glinting. And I, still stung from Tara's betrayal, smiled back with a kind of reckless hunger. "Only when I want to impress someone. If this were a simple story, maybe that would have been the end. But simple stories don't hurt and heal the way ours did." The first night I asked her to be my fake girlfriend. She blinked at me like I had just confessed to robbing a bank. "You want me to do what?" "Just for a little while," I insisted, leaning across the cafe table we'd found ourselves at after our bookstore run-in. "You'd be saving me. Really. It's just, my ex will be at this gallery opening, and she thinks she destroyed me. I need her to see I'm fine. Better than fine." Jenna tilted her head, blonde hair catching the light in strands of gold. "And you think pretending to date me is the solution? I know it sounds ridiculous." She laughed again, softer this time, and something in me ached. Ridiculous is one word for it. Dangerous is another. "But..." She stirred her coffee absent-mindedly, then looked up with that same mischievous spark I'd seen in the bookstore. "Maybe I like ridiculous." I didn't know then how dangerous her words would be for me. I didn't know they would become a promise I couldn't stop wanting her to keep. The gallery night was a battlefield disguised as art. Tara walked in draped in confidence, and her new girlfriend, who wore an expression that screamed temporary. I thought I'd feel vindicated. I thought standing beside Jenna, her hand warm in mine, her laugh like bells, would make Tara regret everything. And maybe it did. Tara's smile faltered when she saw us. Her eyes narrowed when Jenna leaned close to whisper some silly commentary about a painting of melting clocks. But the strangest part, the part that twisted my stomach into knots, was that I wasn't pretending anymore. Every time Jenna squeezed my hand, every time she brushed against me, it felt real. Too real. I caught Tara's glare and should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt like I was cheating not on Tara but on Jenna because she didn't know how much I was starting to mean it. Later, when the night ended and we walked home together through the chilly Manhattan streets, Jenna slipped her hands into her coat pockets and said, almost casually, "So do I get 5 stars for my performance?" I laughed, but it came out strained. "You were incredible. Perfect." Her smile softened, and for a heartbeat, she looked at me in a way that made me forget we were playing a game. Then she said, "Careful, you might make me think you actually like me." I wanted to tell her the truth right then, but the lie was safer. And so I nodded, pretending her words were just a joke. Pretending my heart wasn't already unraveling. The lie grew heavier with every passing week. We became inseparable: movies, midnight diners, lazy afternoons sprawled on my couch with her feet tucked under my thighs. People around us believed we were real, and I started to believe it too. But every time Tara appeared, every time she tried to taunt me with her smug little smirks, Jenna would put her arm around me, and I'd remember the deal. The arrangement. The walls I had built. Except Jenna wasn't playing by the rules anymore. She'd text me good morning before I was awake. She remembered the smallest details about me: how I hated the sound of ticking clocks, how I secretly loved bad karaoke, how my mother's old locket was the only jewelry I never took off. And when she looked at me, really looked, it was like she saw the person I'd been hiding even from myself. One night, after too many glasses of wine and an argument with Tara that reopened old wounds, Jenna found me on the rooftop of my apartment. I was crying, though I didn't want to admit it. "You don't have to keep proving anything to her," Jenna said softly, sitting down beside me. It's not about her anymore, I whispered, staring out at the skyline, glittering and cruel. She didn't press. She just reached for my hand, held it until the shaking stopped, and then kissed my temple like it was the most natural thing in the world. That was the night I realized I couldn't tell where the lie ended and the truth began. The dangerous part about pretending is that it leaves no script for when the curtain falls. And with Jenna, the curtain was falling faster than I could catch it. I wanted her. Not as a shield, not as revenge. Just her. But how could I confess when our entire foundation was built on deceit? Jenna deserved someone who came to her clean, not someone who used her as a pawn in a jealous game. Every time I looked at her, guilt knotted in my chest. Yet every time she smiled, I wanted to risk everything just to keep it. So I stood at the edge, torn between truth and loss, love and fear. And I knew sooner or later one of us would shatter. The days blurred together, but the feeling didn't. It was everywhere when Jenna laughed at some stupid joke I made, when she curled up on my couch and fell asleep with her head on my shoulder, when she sent me pictures of sunsets from her morning runs because she knew I never woke up early enough to see them myself. Every little thing she did hooked itself into me, pulling me deeper into waters I had no business swimming in. I told myself I was fine. I told myself we could keep pretending that it was harmless. But the truth was merciless. Every beat of my heart screamed that I was already gone. The cracks began to show the night of my best friend's birthday. We were at a rooftop bar downtown, the city humming beneath us. Music thumped in the background, lights sparkled like stars, and Jenna was radiant in a simple black dress that made my throat dry every time she walked past. "Your ex is here," Jenna whispered, leaning close. Her breath tickled my ear. I stiffened. "Tara." She nodded toward the far end of the bar, where Tara stood with her entourage, glass in hand, eyes locked on me like a predator spotting prey. I hated how my chest still tightened when I saw her. Not out of love, God. No, but out of the memories she carried with her. Memories I hadn't managed to burn. Jenna's hand slid into mine. She squeezed gently, grounding me. "You okay?" I swallowed. "I will be." We played the part again, but this time it wasn't a performance. Not for me. When Jenna leaned in and kissed me softly, her lips tasting of cherry vodka, the world fell away. My heart stuttered, my breath caught, and for the first time in months, Tara wasn't in control of my emotions. But Tara noticed. Her face hardened as she stalked toward us, and I felt my stomach drop. "Well," she said coldly, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "isn't this cute?" Jenna's grip on my hand tightened, but I forced a smile. "It's more than cute, Tara. It's real." The lie slipped out before I could stop it, and for once I wanted it to be true more than anything. Tara smirked. "Sure. Keep telling yourself that." Her words cut, but when I turned to Jenna, all I saw was her steady gaze, unwavering, unshaken. She didn't flinch, didn't falter. She was the anchor I never thought I'd find. Later that night, when the party had ended and the city was quiet again, we walked back to my apartment in silence. The air between us was heavy, thick with something unspoken. At my door, Jenna hesitated. "Did you mean it?" My pulse jumped. "Mean what?" "When you told her it was real." Her eyes searched mine, wide and uncertain. The world seemed to tilt beneath me. This was the moment the lie would crack open, spilling everything I had tried to bury. I opened my mouth, but no words came. The truth clawed at my throat, begging to be set free, but fear held me hostage. Fear of losing her. Fear of admitting how far I had fallen. Instead I whispered, "Does it matter?" Jenna blinked, hurt flickering across her face before she masked it with a smile. "Guess not." She turned and walked away before I could stop her, leaving me standing there with my chest caving in. The days after that were torture. Jenna still came around, still laughed at my jokes, still curled up on my couch, but something had shifted. The ease between us had fractured. She was careful now, her smiles just a little more guarded, her touches a little more hesitant, and I hated myself for it. One night I sat staring at my phone, drafting a text I couldn't send. "I used you to make Tara jealous, but now I can't stop thinking about you. I don't know how to stop wanting you. I don't even want to stop." I deleted it, wrote it again, deleted it again. Cowardice was easier than honesty. But Jenna wasn't blind. She saw me the way she always did. "You've been distant," she said one evening as we sat in my apartment, the TV flickering unheeded in the background. I forced a laugh. Just tired. Don't lie to me. Her voice was quiet but firm, her brown eyes sharp. I know when you're lying. My chest ached. I wanted to tell her everything, but the words tangled in fear. What if she walked away? What if I lost her before I ever really had her? So I stayed silent. And she sighed, looking away. Maybe this isn't a good idea anymore. Panic surged through me. Jenna, wait, she shook her head. I don't want to be someone's prop. I don't care about your ex. I care about you. But if you can't figure out what you want, then maybe I shouldn't be here. Her words gutted me. Before I could respond, she grabbed her coat and left. The slam of my door echoed in the silence, louder than any heartbreak I'd ever known. The week without her felt endless. I went through the motions, work, errands, sleep, but nothing filled the space she had carved into me. I told myself I should let her go, that I had no right to want her after the way this began. But every corner of my life screamed her name. The bookstore where we met. The cafe where she teased me. The rooftop where she held me when I broke. She was everywhere, and I was drowning in the absence of her. By the third sleepless night, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my jacket and headed to her apartment, heart pounding so hard I thought it might break through my chest. When she opened the door, she looked surprised and tired. Her hair was messy, her eyes red like she'd been crying. Why are you here? She asked softly. The words rushed out before fear could stop me. Because I can't keep lying. I told you this started as a game, as a way to get back at Tara. I thought I was using you. But somewhere along the way, Jenna, I fell for you. Hard. And I can't stand the thought of losing you because I was too much of a coward to admit it. Her lips parted, eyes wide. I don't care about Tara anymore. I continued, my voice shaking. I don't care about revenge. All I care about is you. I want the mornings you wake me up with coffee. I want the nights you fall asleep on my shoulder. I want all of it if you'll let me. The silence stretched between us, thick and unbearable. Then slowly Jenna stepped closer. Her hand trembled as she reached up to touch my cheek. You really mean that? I nodded, breathless. Every word. Her eyes softened, and before I could blink, her lips were on mine, fierce, desperate, and real. For the first time there was no pretending. But love born from brokenness doesn't heal overnight. Even after that night, doubts lingered. Jenna wanted to believe me, but trust is fragile, especially when the foundation was a lie. We stumbled, we fought, we pulled away and came back again. Some days she looked at me like I was her whole world. Other days like she wasn't sure if I'd destroy her heart. And maybe she was right to wonder. Because the truth is, falling in love doesn't erase the past. It doesn't erase the fear. It only gives you something worth fighting through the fear for. And I knew I would fight. For her. For us. For the chance to turn a lie into the most honest thing I'd ever known. That was the moment our story truly began to shift. The months that followed were a blur of fragile hope and aching vulnerability. Every day with Jenna felt like a gift I wasn't sure I deserved. But healing is messy, and trust doesn't bloom overnight. Sometimes when we walked through the city hand in hand, I'd catch her expression in the glow of passing headlights, beautiful but uncertain, as if she were still asking herself whether she had made a mistake letting me back in. And sometimes when the nights were quiet and she fell asleep against me, I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, terrified that she'd wake up one morning and decide I wasn't worth the risk. But love, real love, isn't about the absence of fear. It's about facing it together. It all came to a head one evening in early spring. We were at a little restaurant on the Lower East Side, tucked into a corner booth, sharing pasta and laughter. The air was warm, alive with music and chatter. For once, everything felt simple, easy, until Tara walked in. The moment I saw her, my stomach clenched. She spotted us instantly, her lips curling into that familiar smirk. She strolled over like she owned the room, her voice dripping with poison. Still playing house, I see. Jenna froze beside me, her fork halfway to her mouth. I took a breath, steadying myself. No, Tara. Not playing. Not pretending. Not anymore. Tara arched a brow. Please. You really expect her to believe that? You used her, remember? You dragged her into your little game just to get back at me. She'll wake up eventually. The words were knives, sharp and deliberate. I felt Jenna's hand twitch under the table, pulling away slightly, and panic surged through me. I stood facing Tara head-on. You don't get to do this anymore. You don't get to have power over me or over us. I made mistakes, yes. I lied, yes. But I love her. And nothing you say will change that. For a moment the restaurant fell away. Tara's smirk faltered, replaced by something that looked suspiciously like defeat. She turned on her heel and left without another word. I sat back down, my heart pounding, afraid to look at Jenna. Afraid of what I'd see in her eyes. But when I finally did, she was watching Miralai watching me. And for the first time I saw no doubt there. Only tears. You love me, she whispered. I reached for her hand, holding it tight. More than anything. The silence stretched, and then she laughed through her tears, shaking her head. God, you're such a mess. You're a mess, I said, grinning shakily. She leaned across the table, kissed me softly, and for the first time in months the weight lifted. The weeks that followed were different. We stopped tiptoeing around the past and started building something new. We spent mornings tangled in sheets, afternoons exploring the city, nights dreaming out loud about the future. It wasn't perfect. We still argued about trust, about fear, about how hard it was to unlearn the hurt. But each fight ended not with walls but with arms, with apologies and promises, with the kind of honesty I'd been too afraid to give her before. One night, lying on the rooftop where she once held me together, Jenna turned to me and said, "You know, when you first asked me to be your fake girlfriend, I thought you were insane." I laughed, remembering. You weren't wrong. But, she continued, her voice soft, somewhere along the way I stopped caring how it started, because what we have now, it's real. And I don't want to imagine my life without it. Her words undid me. I pulled her close, kissed her deeply, and whispered against her lips, "Neither do I." The turning point came that summer. We took a trip upstate, away from the chaos of the city. Just the two of us, a cabin by the lake, and nothing but time. I watched her paddle a canoe across the water, sunlight painting her hair in gold, laughter echoing against the trees. I watched her curl up by the fire at night, book in hand, her face glowing in the flickering light. And I realized this wasn't just love. This was home. On the last night, under a sky glittering with stars, I finally said the words I'd been carrying for months. "Jenna," I whispered, my hands trembling as I held hers. "I don't know what the future looks like. I don't know where we'll be 5 years from now. But I know I want you in it. Always." She smiled through tears, pressing her forehead against mine. "Then stop worrying. We'll figure it out together." And with that I kissed her under the stars, sealing a promise that no lie, no past, no fear could ever break. Looking back now, it feels almost absurd. That a scheme born of bitterness, a plan designed to wound, could lead me to the love of my life. But maybe that's what love really is: messy, unexpected, defiant. It doesn't care about beginnings or labels or lies. It only cares about what you do when the truth finally arrives. And when it did, I chose her. She only wanted to make her ex jealous. I only wanted revenge. But what we found together was unstoppable. And this time it was real. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.